To investigate Michael Bloomberg, the former Democratic presidential hopeful is reportedly donating millions of dollars to help pay outstanding fines for convicted felons in Florida so they can vote on Election Day. State Attorney General Ashley Moody explaining her decision this morning.
We have to have trust in our elections process. It's essential to a strong, stable democracy. And so when you hear words like targeting certain voters, investing and adding to a particular column, that doesn't matter what party it is, that triggers Florida law, which under Florida law, you cannot directly or indirectly give anything of value to persuade or entice a vote.
Florida voters in 2018 approved a constitutional amendment that restored the right to vote for felons not convicted of murder or sex crimes. But state lawmakers later passed additional legislation requiring those felons pay any remaining fines before they can head to the polls. Emily, I want to start with you because I did not realize, not being a lawyer, until you explained to us that it's not about paying someone to vote a certain way. It's just about exchanging something of value in exchange for someone to vote, period. Given that that's the law, this seems pretty straightforward that Michael Bloomberg can't do this. And wouldn't someone have advised him of that?
Right. So AG Moody is correct in that in light of Bloomberg's comments, it is certainly extremely suspicious. And I should say his comments obviously are based on a certain assumption as well that certain people will vote a certain way, which is sort of part of a continuing pattern on many Democratic candidates and surrogates. But let me just explain really quickly about the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. This nonprofit was founded by a convicted felon. And before that law that you mentioned, how the 11th Circuit upheld the requirement for felons to clear court debts before they can exercise that restored right to vote, they had amassed $4 million in donations, including by other celebrities and athletes, etc. So their argument is, well, if you are saying that Bloomberg is violating the law, so too are the 44,000 other donors. So too is everyone else. But obviously the distinction here is his comments. So that's why it's been referred to the FEC and the FBI and more. But it's up to the courts to determine whether, in his case, it's a thing of value exchanged.
Okay. I guess, Richard, does it make you uncomfortable to see rich people throwing around money in an election to influence certain outcomes? We see it all the time in both parties. I want to be clear. But is this the American system at work? You can do what you want with your money? Or is it, does it reek of privilege?
Look, I will argue, and I will continue to argue, that we have far too much money in our politics, right? But that is what the rules are. The rules are that there's money in our politics. But let's just delineate that from what's actually taking place in Florida. In Florida, millions of Americans who have already served their time, they've already served their debt to society, right? They formed a nonprofit organization, and they battled and they fought to get an amendment on the ballot to ensure that their right to vote was restored. The people of Florida agreed with that. Then the state legislature decided to make it harder for these individuals to vote by forcing them to pay all their fees, which I sort of equate to a poll tax, right? Saying that, yes, even though the people of Florida said you have the right to vote, we are going to create another burden for you to vote, right? And then they said we're going to raise money because many of these folks who were formerly incarcerated can't afford the fees, some totaling up to thousands and thousands of dollars in court fees. So the nonprofit community, philanthropists like Bloomberg, came in and said they are going to do their part to ensure that these folks have the right to vote. Not vote Democrat, not vote Republican, but just have the right to vote because they're a member of our society. If you believe in the First Step Act, if you believe in criminal justice reform, then you should also believe that everybody who served their debt to society should be restored to our community and have the right to vote in our democracy. And that's what this is about, and that's what Bloomberg is pushing for.
Okay. I would say, though, I don't think it's intellectually honest, Harris, to say that that is what this argument is about, because Michael Bloomberg did not say that until this point in time. If he had been part of that original group when we were originally talking about this, it would be different. But it was intellectually dishonest to come forward and say Michael Bloomberg is just doing this because he thinks convicted felons should be able to vote, and it has nothing to do with this election. The timing doesn't speak to that. What are your thoughts, Harris?
Well, I would have two questions for both sides of the issue. One, why did the bar get raised for people who've been in prison and obviously didn't have jobs to pay off fines? then immediately have to pay them before they vote, or has that always been the expectation? And then my question for the Bloomberg side would be, why wouldn't you think that there would be some sort of, well, thank you very much for paying those fines, just like if somebody paid off your house, you would want to do them a solid. Why wouldn't he expect them to vote the way that he would want them to vote? I mean, I don't understand why that would be. I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. All right, we are just minutes away from the White House press briefing on this busy news day. We will take you there just as soon as it starts.